Thank you, Reverend Beth, and Skylar, and everyone for being here this morning. I signed up to preach on this day back in December. Feels like that was decades ago. And I was going to be preaching about spring because it's spring. Thursday was the first day of spring. It feels a little off because it seems like a whole human species is moving indoors, but the rest of nature is moving into spring as if it were any other year. This is a picture of Central Park taken a few days ago by someone named Jackie on Instagram. Thank you, Jackie. And these cherry blossoms, they have no idea of social distancing or quarantine. They just know it's spring. So how do we participate in this changing of the seasons given the unusual circumstances? This time of year reminds me of a memory many years ago. I was sitting in the park with my grandma's partner at the time, whose name was Stan. We called him Stampa. Here's a picture of Stampa. He's got a sweet face, right? And Stampa and I were sitting on a park bench. It was this kind of temperature where it's warm enough as long as you were sitting in the sun. And there's this fragrant breeze flowing between us and chirping birds all around. It was peaceful, it was still, it was calm. And we were talking about life. Stampa asked me what I wanted to do after college. That was a big question for me at the time. My future just seemed like a big question mark reaching out into the horizon. And so I said, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to do something important. And then there was this pause. It was like the whole world slowed down. And Stampa leaned in. He asked an even bigger question. I'll never forget this question. He said, what does important mean to you? What does important mean to you? That question changed my life. At the time, the answer meant something big, something spectacular. It meant being president. But here I was talking to Stampa. Stampa wasn't president, but he sure as hell was important. So in that moment, I realized that wasn't my answer. I had never chosen that. I just picked it up from the culture around me, but Stampa was inviting me to choose my own answer. And he set me off on a whole journey around that question. Took me from working in climate policy to extended periods of meditation practice on retreat to seminary to this moment right now. I don't think I would be here offering this reflection if it hadn't been for those 6 words from Stampa. So this has been on my mind lately because I feel a little bit like I'm kind of thrown back into a similar space of uncertainty, lots of questions, not a lot of answers, and just this huge question mark reaching out into the future. Maybe you feel similarly, this space of groundlessness. Maybe you feel like you're on that bench too, being asked, what does important mean to you? What's been helpful for me lately is going back to the way that process started all those years ago, which was first identifying what important is not, what it doesn't mean to me. In the Hindu texts, there's a concept called neti neti, which means not this, not that. It speaks to this process of coming closer to the truth of who you are by process of elimination. So not this, not that, and what is the truth that emerges? So I'd invite you now to reflect, take a moment here. What's something that a few weeks ago felt really important, and now in this moment, it doesn't feel that important? And if you'd like, you can share in the chat and I'll lift up 2 or 3. Something you were worried about that was on your mind, you were focused on a few weeks ago, and now it just doesn't have that charge. Maybe that disagreement with someone, an old friend, the stress of meeting deadlines, working in an office versus being remote, getting a new job. Maybe it's the idea that you have to do everything perfectly. You know, these are some of the things that maybe felt really important a few weeks ago and feel less important now. And we'll have more time to share on this during coffee hour and discuss this question. Thank you to those who shared already. And yeah, you know, this process of coming into contact with what's not important, you can think of this as like a spring cleaning of the heart and making space for that next question. If those things are not important, then what does important mean to you? And again, invite you to share whatever is coming up to you now in the chat. Of something that feels really important, what important means to you in this moment. Obviously, it's a lifelong question, but what's alive around it now? Connection is most important now. Taxes are important. Being present for young children is what important means now. Connection with friends is what important means now. Family and health. The greater good, being able to be with the people that I love, connecting online since we can't do it in person. Air, breathing, sunlight, movement. Generosity, not doing things perfectly, supporting friends, training my new puppy, Trump's various scandals, listening, being thankful for a job even if I don't like it, being outside. And not taxes. Taxes felt important before, but not now. Yeah. Accepting uncertainty, nature, and connection. Again, we'll have more time to discuss these, what important means to you now in these questions during coffee hour. For now, again, I thank you for sharing. And to pose another question, if these are the things that feel important now, does there have to be a pandemic for these to be important? Or are these insights we want to take with us into the future? If we don't ask these questions, old answers will continue guiding our lives. If we do ask these questions, there's hope for new truths to emerge. And that's not just an individual urgency, that's also a collective urgency. One way of thinking about all of the crises of the earth, because let's not forget that it's not like things were so great in the world even before coronavirus. Everything from climate change to economic and social injustice. One way of understanding those is that we've all collectively forgotten what important means to us. Forgotten that we're all interconnected, interdependent, that nobody's free until everybody's free, that we're on this earth for just a moment. Try and bring a little bit more love into the world. Started by asking this question of what does it mean to be moving into spring given these circumstances? The word emergency comes from the word emerge. And so as the rest of nature is emerging into spring, even though we're physically going inside, we can still emerge from the winter of our heart. Still do that spring cleaning of saying not this, not that, to old priorities that keep us small. Tap into deeper truths of who we are. It's what's happening already in those videos of Italians playing music with one another across the street, stories of neighbors sharing hand sanitizer with one another, communities coming together. These are our human cherry trees blossoming. These are the pulley and the buttonhole from the poem, remembering what they can do. I never had the chance to get back to stamp on that question. But it wasn't for him. The question was for me. It was a gift that I'll never forget. And now the whole world is asking us that same question. The world is asking, the world is pleading, the world is holding its breath. What does important mean to you? Thank you.